We'll just give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. All right, I think we're on time. Yeah, so good evening, everybody. This is Deepthi this side from Breakthrough Science Society, Karnataka. As you all know, Breakthrough Science Society is an all India science organization working towards spreading scientific temper. Hope you're all doing well and safe. All right. Yeah. So I know all of us are at home confined. Hence, we thought we will stay in touch this way. Thanks to technology and virtual medium, we're able to connect and reach out to you. So, as you all know, this week was, mainly observed as World Environment Day. June 5th was, yes, defined by that. So, essentially, the theme this year was, to widely propagate for time for nature and to protect biodiversity, with a focus on its role in providing the essential infrastructure that supports life on Earth and human development. From Breakthrough Science Society as well, we did take up an online campaign to spread awareness and stand up to pro life and pro people environmental policies. So today we have an eminent guest with us, uh, Dr. TV Ramachandra. Welcome, sir.
Yeah,
All right. Um, yeah, so sir himself has been, part of breakthroughs, many of the older seminars. Um, just to give you a brief introduction of Dr. Ramachandra, Dr. Ramachandra obtained his PhD in ecology and energy from Indian Institute of Science. At present, he's the coordinator of Energy and Wetlands Research Group, convener of Environmental Information System at Center for Ecological Sciences. During the past 15 years, he has established an active school of research in the area of energy and environment. He was a member of Karnataka State Level Environment Expert Appraisal Committee, which was between 2007 and 10, which was appointed by the Ministry of Environment and Forests, Government of India, and also a member of Western Ghats Task Force appointed by the Government of Karnataka. He is a recipient of Energy Legend, Energy Engineer of Association of Energy Engineers USA, Johnny Biosphere Award for Ecology and Environment, and Satish Dhawan Young Scientist Award 2007 of Karnataka State Government. Sir's interests are in the area of energy systems, renewable energy, energy conservation, planning, aquatic ecosystems, biodiversity, ecological modeling, geoinformatics, urban planning, carbon footprint, and many more to come. Sir has published wide varieties of research paper. There are about 215, and many of the conferences he's represented this area of research. He has taken initiatives through bioannual symposium, which is a popular as lake series, which is, I mean, of course, that happened in 2014, various training programs and workshops for capacity building at various levels. So today he is going to speak about life without water. So essentially, when we started sending out posters of this topic, many people were unable to digest this topic. Is it even possible, life without water? So I think it's quite an intriguing topic for all of us. So I'll leave it to you, sir. So over to you, and yeah, maybe we'll take questions after your
Okay,
program.
Deepthi shares the slides are visible.
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, good evening to everyone. Uh, as you all know, we celebrated the World Environment Day on the 5th of June, and the theme of the current year, the World Environment Day, is on biodiversity. I'm sure you all know the biodiversity, diversity of life. When we remove the diversity of life on the earth, then we'll have a problem with the water. We'll not have the water. And with the scarcity of water, nothing the works on the earth. Okay. Now, my talk will consist of three parts. First part, I will give some messages. Second part, I will take you to the case study in the Western Ghats. So, how the situation has changed, how the rivers have become the seasonal or the dry, and what are the implications the farmers are facing. I will talk about it. And the third part is, as a researcher, what we have done in the system. I'll be discussing that. Okay. Now, with this brief introduction of my talk, I'll move to the current topic, the life without the water. So, the major part of this, my talk is published in the Current Science recently. On the 10th May issue of the Current Science, you will see an article focusing on the rivers in the Uttara Kannada district. We have done a comparative assessment how when a man intervenes, how he deprives the other people their right for the water, and what are the implications on the livelihood without water. We will discuss about that. Okay. So now this is the article which I was referring to. So those who are interested can download. This is available online and can go through the article. Okay. Now first I will introduce you to my home. My home is Western Ghats. It extends from Kerala to Gujarat. And if you look at the geographical coordinates, it extends from 8 to 22-degree latitude, and length is about 1,600 kilometer. This is the kind of the environment we work. In fact, I was traveling in this region yesterday. There are no COVID there. I see COVID only where humans are there. So probably we need to understand how the nature functions. Okay. And when you look at the Western Ghats, it forms the major watershed for the peninsular India. There are 100 plus rivers originates in the Western Ghats. Most of them are perennial, and because of that, we have the water security and also the food security. And when you look at the landscape of the Western Ghats, you have the evergreen to semi-evergreen and deciduous and scrub forest. Of course, Chola is also there in the Western Ghats. Now, why Western Ghat is important? Let us try to understand. Now, most of you are staying inside, indoor. You know the importance of having the right food and also the immunity against the diseases, especially the COVID. Now, when you look at the Western Ghats, as I said earlier, it extends from 8 to 22-degree latitude. Let us look at what is the number of species of plants and animals occurs in this Western Ghats. Okay, when you look at this, the number of species versus the latitudinal gradient, you will see 8 to 14 degrees, you have the highest number of species. That means the diversity is there in the Western Ghats. If there is a diversity, we will have a diverse food and diverse medicine, and of course there will be water all the time. So that is what we need to do, is we need to maintain the diversity of the Western Ghats. That means we should not allow the deforestation to happen in the Western Ghats. Now, when you look at the nature, natural systems always tend to increase in diversity and reach harmony. When you look at India, the Indian landscape, we have a diverse the vegetation, we have diverse culture, diverse tradition. Because of that, our country is stable compared to our neighbors. And when there is a diversity, there is a harmony, and also it leads to greater unification. And also there is a energy efficiency, material cycling happens, and it optimizes the ecosystem functions, as you all are aware. Hydrological, nutrient, biogeochemical cycles, or the ecosystem functions. Any disturbance to the ecosystem lead to the the decline in this ecosystem function, and also it will lead to the species extinction, and there would be conflicts, entropy, and reduced capacity to carry life. So now what we need to do is we need to maintain the harmony with the nature. How do we do it? Let us preserve the forests in the river gorges and protect the sacred groves and sacred trees. If you come to the district like Uttara Kannada, Shivamogga, and Kodagu, you will see that our elders have protected the forest for us in the form of Devara Kadu or a sacred the forest. So we need to protect them so that our children will have the water. If we remove them, our children will not have the water. And we need to restrain on hunting and resource overuse of the resources. And when you look at the nature carefully, nature is in balance. You see that all the organisms are in balance as long as the two-legged animal is not there in the picture. And when you look at this, the backside of this, you will see these plants are producing the food using the solar energy. The solar energy is getting converted into glucose, and when you observe it carefully, all plants are competing. Every plant is getting their right share of the solar energy. There is a law of entropy and also law of the you can understand the laws of thermodynamics. The energy transfer happens, and there is a law of optimization also. The second principle of the nature is remediation. You would have seen people washing cloth in the rivers. You go to Kaveri or Krishna. You collect the water sample where people are washing the cloth. After 500 meter, you collect the another water sample. You analyze the physicochemical properties of the water. You will see that the second point, there are no contaminants in spite of people washing cloth at the first point. So that means by the time water moved from one level to the next level, there is a treatment has happened. This we call it as remediation. It is done by organisms like algae, bacteria, etc. That's why we call the phenomena as the bioremediation. This is the second principle of the nature. The third principle of the nature is sustainability. To sustain the resources, there has to be renewability. That's why the younger plants emerges and the mature one disappear from the system. Similarly, in the humans, you see the younger ones takes over, and elders like us will fade away in the system. So these are the three principles of the nature. As I progress, you will see that I will be touching on these things with the case studies. Now, let us look at how the indigenous people maintain the equilibrium with the nature. This is a lady in Uttar Kannada district where we work. She must be in the late 50s. She spends a few minutes underwater and collects a bucket full of biomass. Probably she spends about 4 to 5 minutes. When she spends 4 to 5 minutes, she could collect about a bucket full of biomass, which fetches her about 300 to 350 rupees, which is sufficient for her to run her family, which means she is extracting the resources sufficient to run her family. Now let us look at how Bangaloreans or people in the urban area behaves. The status in the system is not dependent on how much we earn. It depends on how much resources we exhibit. To put this in the right perspective, I'll give you one example. For example, when you look at me, if I have I stay in apartment, as long as my neighbor don't have the vehicle, if I have Maruti 800, my family is happy. The day my neighbor gets the Innova, the happiness in my family comes down, and Innova fellows family would be happy. Innova car fellows family would be happy as long as his neighbor doesn't get the lorry. When you see this from Maruti 800 to Innova to lorry, it is a crude exhibition of the resource wastage. So this is what is the thing which introduces the inequilibrium in the urban areas. But when we go to the rural area, we do not see this kind of competition. There is a competition to grow the crop, not to exhibit the resources. So now, when we talk about development, the people talk about GDP, they talk about the development. I would say the development should happen, but should not deprive the local people the right to live. That means it should not affect their livelihood. Now, for example, here Konkan Railway connects the Kerala to Mumbai. At the same time, the farmers and fishermen get their the the fish, the rice, and sand and salt. That means their livelihood is not affected with this project. This is the model to be replicated in the country. Not make the local people to move the displaced from that region and deprive them their right to live in the system. So now, if we adopt this model, probably the country also will progress and everyone would be happy in the region. Now, let us look at the district, the vegetation cover. The deforestation is one of the major threat to the water sustainability. When you look at the Uttar Kannada district, the where we have been working for the last 2.5 decades, the district has the distinction of having the highest forest cover of 80%. Now, using the remote sensing data, that is the pictures of the Earth taken from the satellite platform, we can analyze what is the land cover in the region. Now, you see that this data is available from 1973 onwards, every 21 or 30 days interval. Using this data available from 1973 to today, you can analyze what changes have happened in the system. Now, when you look at this 1973, you see the most part of the district is green. Now let us move to the 1979. You see that these are the areas, the green which were earlier. Now today we have lost them. That this is because of the teak plantation. This is because of the coastal area, the urbanization, etc. Now let's move to the 1989. You see with the construction of the dam, we lost the green cover. Now we know that where we have lost and how much we have lost. Suppose if the decision maker want to arrest the deforestation, then we can tell where to arrest it, where the deforestation is happening. Now this is 89. Now you can see 99, 2010, and 2016. From when you look at this carefully, from 1973 to 2016, in this district supposed to be the protected district, the evergreen forest, that means forest under evergreen vegetation, which was 63% in 1973, today is about 29%. That means there is a decline in the forest cover. This is what is happening in the entire country. When you look at, this is the summary of what I said. See, the red color is as on date, the green color was as on 1973. When you see that there is about 35 to 40% decline in the forest cover in almost all the districts in the Karnataka. And also, if you look at the entire Western Ghat, there is about 5% reduction in the evergreen forest from 1985 to 2018. Okay. Now, what will happen with the deforestation? The COVID is a good example of the consequence of the deforestation. The zoonotic disease, COVID or the coronavirus, is the spread the zoonotic disease. That means the diseases spread by the wild animal. That means the virus has come from the wild source. Why did we get the virus to the human habitation? For example, if you look at in Karnataka, Shivamogga and Uttar Kannada district, every year faces the problem of monkey fever. Why did the people face the monkey fever? Because the monkeys started coming home. Earlier, when the forests were there intact, with the native species like Michaelia champaka, etc., the animals were getting their food. But when forest department converted these native species forest into monoculture plantations of rubber, acacia, eucalyptus, we see that animal losing their food. In the process, they started coming to the human habitation in search of the food. When they come to the human habitation, you know, they pass on this virus through the ticks. The ticks attached to these monkeys, get dislodged and get into the humans. When they bite the human, naturally the virus get into the system. That is how the zoonotic diseases are getting spread in the human system. So if we have to address the problem of COVID, first and foremost thing is, the as a Indians, as a global citizens, we should arrest the deforestation. And if we do not do that, not only the entire human race will disappear because of these diseases, we will also not have the water also. So now the consequences of deforestation is what happened in the floods in the, you can see this is in Kodagu or northern Karnataka. We faced this in the Kerala also about a year back. Now other thing is a landslide. When we remove the vegetation cover, the land becomes vulnerable to the landslides. When you look at the climatic the variation because of the global warming or changes in climate, we see that there is a changes in the rainfall pattern. Earlier, rain used to come for 35 to 40 days. Now, the same amount of rain falls in 3 or 4 days. When the same quantity of water falls in 3 or 4 days, so because the vegetation is not there in the region, the all water move towards the ocean or run towards the ocean. In the process, there is no infiltration. You see that water is not getting infiltrated into the system. In the process, people, the wells will not have the water, nor the streams will have the water. This is what happened in Kodagu and Kerala 2 years back. We had floods, there was abundant water, because there was no vegetation, there was no infiltration happened. In the process, immediately after the rain, there was a drought situation. That means the floods and drought happened simultaneously. This is going to be a regular phenomena if we do not wake up now. Because of the climate change, the changing climate, there will be high intensity rainfall, and we have to be careful and arrest the deforestation as early as possible. Now, what are the other ecological disaster if we continue to misbehave like this? You can look at the Let us look at the case of the Easter Island. People went on expanding the Easter Island thinking that land is available. But finally, people have to vacate the island, or the island died because of the scarcity of water. That means when there's no water, there cannot be the human habitations or civilization. If you look at Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, or any civilization, the origin is at the river. So when there's no water, there cannot be any civilization, and there won't be any civilization. Now, let us take one more example. This is of the last leg of the Vijayanagara kingdom. You see that last leg of the Vijayanagara kingdom failed because of the water scarcity. So that means the rulers will lose their opportunity to rule the region when there's no water. Now, those who are from Bangalore know that how the concretization is happening in Bangalore. 68% of the Bangalore landscape. Bangalore is about 748 square kilometer. 68% in 73 were under green cover, and only 3% was under building. Today, the situation is about 93% is under building, and only 2.5% is under the vegetation. Because of that, we do not have adequate oxygens, and there are people using the oxygen cylinder in the late evening in the city. And another serious thing is, there is a serious water scarcity. Groundwater table is declining because there is no infiltration is happening. There is no groundwater recharge is happening in the city. And the next city, which is on the verge of death, dying, is the Bangalore city. The garden city or the Silicon Valley is going to face the same music of Easter Island or the Vijayanagara kingdom. That's what we need to learn and arrest any further damage to the region. Now, how to do that? As a human beings, as a citizen of the country, we can improve the water use efficiency. Now, the simple example is, if we change our food habits, we can also reduce the water footprint. Now, what does it mean? I would say that instead of having too much of cereals, let us switch over to the pulses. Now, the pulses you all know, the tur dal and all these things, the groundnut, etc., comes under that category. Now, what are the advantages of having pulses in our diet? It helps in the weight management. Our study shows those who take pulses are not obese. That means the lipid accumulation doesn't happen in the body. The second thing is all intelligent people eat pulses. That's why their brain functions optimally. And also, pulses are good source of vitamin and minerals. It reduces the risk of cancer, and also there won't be any blood pressure or sugar in the body. It helps in preventing cell and gene damage, and also the sprouted lentils helps in the muscle generation. This is why the people who are interested in the six pack will go for the sprouted lentils in the early morning. So that's how they maintain their body. In the process, they maintain their brain also. Now, when we do that, we have health. Health, as you all know, is not merely an absence of disease, but a state of well-being. So it is not just a physical; it is also sociological and spiritual and emotional. This one contribute to the health. So now, how one can maintain the health? I said by maintaining the balanced food. For this, I will share an example of my colleague. One of my colleague who was a director of this place had all the problem of blood pressure, sugar, etc. when he was a director. After retirement, he changed his food habit. Now, if you look at his food plate, the dinner plate, he has a 5 varieties of vegetable and 5 varieties of fruit and a bowl of pulses. Today, he is about 73. He doesn't have either the sugar or the blood pressure. There are no chronic health problem. That means when I look at his plate, with a bowl of pulses and 5 varieties of vegetable and 5 varieties of fruit, it gives me the diversity. 5 varieties of fruit and 5 varieties of vegetable, each of about 50 to 60 grams, will indicate the diversity, and the pulses give that stability. So when your food plate is diverse, as our landscape, your body would be stable. That means you will have the physiological, psychological, environmental, nutritional, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So that's what one should practice. And when you do that, you see that you are reducing the footprint also, water footprint. When you look at the nature is always in balance. This is a good example of Uttara Kannada forest. You can see the harmony in the mind, body, and spirit. People like us regularly spend time in this region. Now, let us look at the water requirement for the various crops. If you look at the pulses, 1 kg of pulses requires about 200 liters of water. While to grow cereals, the 1 kg of rice or 1 kg of wheat requires 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water. And 1 kg of sugar requires 10,000 liters of water. So that means, suppose if you say that I am exporting sugar to the other country and making a revenue for this country, you are not just sending the commodity, you are also sending the water, which is a crucial resource in our country. The advantage of having pulses is it reduces the human animal conflict. Naturally, when people start having more and more pulses, then the farmers have to grow the pulses. When they grow pulses, the wild animal do not eat the pulse crop. So that means, the animals move from one place to the other in search of water and the food during the lean season. When they move, if the village has the crops like sugar cane, rice, etc., naturally the animal tend to eat, and there are human animal conflict. Now, to minimize the human animal conflict, I would say the decision makers should make sure in the villages where the human animal infestation is there, we need to make sure that only the pulses are grown. If the farmers grow any other crop like rice, sugarcane, there should not be any compensation to such farmers who are irresponsible in the region. In fact, I was told the last month there were wild animal conflicts in the Mandya, Ramnagara region. The politicians of that region are more interested in seeking for compensation. I would say more than that, they should bring awareness among the farmers regarding these crucial issues, and they can also bring down the damages in the system. Now, let us look at the water requirement. All of us require 135 liters per day per person. These are as per the government record. But you should keep in mind we consume water not just to drink or for domestic purposes. We also require water to grow the crop, for preparing the food, which amounts to about 10 lakh liters a year per person. That means every human being consumes about 10 lakh liters of water every year. Or if you look at your water footprint in a day, it amounts to about 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water. You might think that you are drinking 1 liter of water, but when you consume food, there are the embedded water in that, which amounts to 3,000 to 5,000 liters per day. That means water is a crucial resources. We need to make sure that they are sustained for our children. So now let us look at how much water is required for the various things what we use. For example, t-shirt, one t-shirt requires about 2,700 liters. That's why people who go on use and throw every week, I would ask them to shun that kind of practice, so that every t-shirt has a 2,700 liters of water footprint. The second thing is every kg of leather shoe is about 16,600 liters of water. And for your information, chocolate, every kg requires 2,400 liters of water. I do not say don't eat chocolate, but you should know when you eat chocolate, you are also enjoying the water in that. So now this is a good example of the nature's the gift to all of us. This is a kokum fruit from the Western Ghat forest, which also has a medicinal value. Now let's look at the nature, how the nature functions. This is the first part I am summarizing. When you look at the nature, all of you have understood the food chain. There are various trophic levels. The food is synthesized, food is produced by the green plant, taking advantage of the solar energy, which is get converted to the glucose. Then this is eaten by the next level, herbivore, which is eaten by the carnivore. Then finally, you see whatever is left in the system, this the engineers, the biological engineers, the bacteria and fungi converts it into the elemental form. That's why in the nature there is nothing called waste. You will see a waste where waste people are there. In a locality, if you see heaps of waste, you can brand them as a waste people, because they are using too much of the products which are not assimilated by the nature. The items like plastics, etc., illogical use or irrational use will always lead to the accumulation in the system. That's what happened in Bangalore. You can see heaps of solid waste dumps, and of course there are issues like dengue, chikungunya, with the mismanagement of the solid waste. Now, if you want to address the waste problem in the city, I would say people have to be natural, and they should not go for the synthetic products like plastic, etc. That today with the Swiggy era, everyone have the tendency to get the packed food. Along with the packed food, they are also getting the plastic their home, which is thrown. So this leads to unnecessary accumulation of the waste in the system. Another thing you need to understand is when we use the plastic too much, our study shows that there are carcinogens in the residues in those plastic container which gets into our body. That means we are also, with our the foolish way lifestyle, we are also inviting cancer, not only to us, to our children also. So now let me take you to the Western Ghats. This is what I have noticed during my academic the study period. When I was a student, the region was like this. Today, the same month, the region is like this. You see, the water is there, the probably because of the greenery, whereas here there is no water, probably because people have removed the greenery. Now, this is quite convincing that today when I visit the same region, I see this. There is the no water in the region. So let us try to understand how it affects the people. Life without water, how it would be. The next part of my talk. Okay. Now, there are rivers. We have seen them vanishing, because we have babas in this country. They make miracles, but we have politicians in our country removing the rivers and lakes in places like Bangalore, etc. For example, Guwahati, you see Baralu or Bahini, and Varanasi, Varuna or Assi river, then Pune, Mula or Muta. So, and most of these rivers have become sewers, or the nalas carrying the sewage. Now, those who travel from Bangalore to Mysore, you would see the Rushbavati river. But today it has become the Nala carrying the sewage. That shows how the urbanized the system has converted a river into the sewer Nala. So this is also the contribution from the 21st century irresponsible engineers. Instead of treating the sewage, they are letting directly into these drains. In the process, they are contaminating the groundwater, and that groundwater contaminated is getting reflected in the health of our children and of course us also. Now you all know about the famous Saraswati river. See, our elders and we all start our day with the Gangecha Yamunecha, Godavari, Saraswati. But now today we do not have Saraswati, and this is the situation we are seeing in most of the rivers in the country. Now when you look at Karnataka, desertification is next to the Rajasthan. We have done the studies in Kolar, wherein 40 to 45% of the landscape are barren. If you go to the taluks like Gudibanda, Bagepalli, you see that about 45 to 50% are barren or unproductive. And 32% of India is heading to be a desert. And Godavari is dry along much of its length during the past decade. And Ganga has become a most endangered river in the world. And Kaveri has lost about 40% of its flow. That is mainly because today Kaveri catchment has the vegetation cover less than 18%. That's what our study shows. And Krishna and Narmada have lost about around 60%. Okay. Now, flood, drought, the are increasingly leading to the crop failure across the country. I discussed about the flood and drought, and about 70% of water demand are met by the rivers in the country. And two out of three major cities already deal with the daily water shortage. Bangalore is no exception. And some of the dwellers in Bangalore city have to pay more than 10 times the money for the water. And climate change is expected to cause worse flood and drought within the next 25 to 50 years. The changes in climate is happening. That is what is you see the erratic rainfall and unseasonal rainfall. So we are going to pay the heavy price. Kerala and Kodagu, during the monsoon, rivers will flood. The rest of the year, drought will follow. Last 3 years, we have been noticing, which I had predicted about 3 years back, and now I see that phenomena is happening quite often in these regions. Okay. Now, when you look at the footprint across the globe, if you look at US, is much higher than India. This doesn't mean that Indians have to compete with the US in the material utilization or the wastage of the resources. We need to optimize that. Okay, the utilization of the resources. Now this gives you an idea about the areas of my group research. My students work on the various topics: biodiversity, ecology, hydrology, energy. Those who are interested can go to this website. At the end of my talk, I'll come back to that. Okay. Now let's look at the how the rivers loses the water, how we face the situation without water, and why do we reach that situation. Let us try to understand that. So let us move to the ecosystem. You know, the basic premises here is the vegetation, ecology, diversity, and hydrology are linked. Hydrology means the study of water. Okay, you all remember now, this is the same location. The water was there when I was a student in 90s. Today there is no water. Why did we face this situation? Let us try to understand that. I'll take you to a river basin called Sharavati in the Western Ghats. Okay. Now before that, let us try to understand. When you look at the landscape, you see the landscape is covered by forest, agriculture land, the urban area, etc. Depending on the kind of the landscape cover, you have the the respective ecosystem functions. Hydrological, ecological, nutrient cycling. These are all the functions of an ecosystem. Now that functions are dependent on how the landscape is covered, whether it has the vegetation or it is a barren. So we can analyze the extent of the landscape through the using the remote sensing data through these metrics. This is what we have done in the system. Now let us move to the river basin. This is the Sharavati river. It originates at Ambutirtha, traverses about 128 kilometer, joins the ocean at the Honavar. So now this 128 kilometer blue line is a river for most of the civil engineers. They have completely forgotten river has the catchment area or the watershed or Jalanayana Pradesha. Now, the health of this catchment decides the water retention capability of this river basin. Now, this river, the dam was constructed in 1965. If you want to see whether the river has any the problem because of the dam, whether the sustainability of the river is lost because of the dam, let us just take the rainfall data. Now, rainfall data is available for the last 119 years. You take this data, analyze the data for the temporal variation. That means the variation with the time. You divide the data into two time period. 1901 to 1965 is one period. The second period is 1965 to the today. When you look at 1901 to 1965, this entire region was receiving the rainfall of 3000 to 4500 millimeter. Now, 1965 to today, if you look at this portion, the western portion continued to get the 3000 to 4500 millimeter, while the eastern portion gets the rainfall of 1800 to 1900 millimeter. What could be the reason? If you look at, you see the stream density here is quite dense, while the streams are very sparsely spread. But 100 years back, streams in this region were also very dense. Now, why we have lost the stream as well as the rainfall is reduced? Let us look at the land cover. As I said earlier, land cover could be assessed using the remote sensing data. When we assess the land cover for this region, Linganmakki catchment area, which corresponds to this, you see on the western side you have more of forest, while on the eastern side you have more of agriculture and the open area or barren area, which are indicated by the orange or the yellow color. Now, when you overlay this on this, you see wherever agriculture or the open areas are here, they are there. You see that rainfall has reduced. Wherever forests are there, the region continues to maintain the rainfall. Now, to understand this further, let us look at the topography. This entire region is undulating and it receives the same kind of rainfall, orographic precipitation, and it used to receive 3000 to 4500 millimeter. But today, this portion receives 3000 to 4500, while this portion is about 1800 to 1900. And when you look at the forest cover, you see that forest cover on this side is very high or the dense, while the other side it is absent or it is converted into the agricultural land or the eventually it has become the barren area. Now, if you want to understand why this has happened over a period of 40 years, this is because of the wrong policy of the government. you know when we constructed the dam, there were villages in this region. These villages, the reservoir region had villages where the farmers were there. They were forcefully evicted from this region to the drier belt. This is a wet region, the Malnad region, and people are practicing the wet cultivation. But when they are pushed into the dry belt, they couldn't practice the agriculture or the thing. They waited for the reservoir work to be completed, and those farmers came and occupied this region. They converted forest into agriculture land, and eventually it became a barren area. That's how the wrong policy of the bureaucrats of today is contributing to this kind of problem, and eventually it leads to the water scarcity also in the region. Now, let us try to understand this further. See, to understand this one, you see on the western side, you see a forest of this kind, while the eastern side, you have the vegetation, sparsely spread vegetation in the region. Now, let us they try to understand. These are all our field data collection point. I will not get into the detail. And if you look at the rainfall, you see there is a decline of rainfall from 5 to 11% in this portion. Okay, in this portion, there is no decline of rainfall because we have maintained the forest. Where people have removed the forest, you see that there is a decline of rainfall to an order of 5 to 11%. Now, to understand this further, so I will take you to the sub-basin. Now, how did we get the sub-basin? See, these are the stream network. You have first order stream. The two first order join form the second order. Then it form the tributary. Let us delineate the sub-basins for each of the tributary. These are the tributaries on the west. These are tributaries on the east. In each of these tributary, what is the forest cover and what is the amount of rainfall? Let us see. Now on the eastern side, forest cover is 30%, rainfall is 1076, and on the this one 41%, rainfall is 1715. While on the western side, forest cover is 65%, rainfall is 4800, or 60% 4400. See, this is a region where you see the undulating, the high hillock covered with the tall trees. When the tall trees cover the region, they stop the cloud. That's how the rain is formed in the region. That is where you need to understand the hydrological cycle. And when you understand the hydrological cycle, you will appreciate the role played by the forest in the Western Ghats in catching the rain and getting the rain for the people. Now, see, you understand the linkage between the forest and the rain. Now, let us take up one. See, my students have monitored the duration of the water available in the stream. We have chosen one stream in each of the catchment and monitored it every month for a 36 months to understand the seasonal variability and also year to year variability. We have graded the streams depending on the availability of water and duration of the flow as A, B, C, D. A are the stream carry the water all 12 months. B are the stream carry the water only during 8 months. C1 carry the water during 6 months. D are the one carry the water only during the monsoon or the 4 months. Now, if you want to see where the A type of streams occur, A type of streams occur in the catchment where the catchment has the vegetation of native species more than 60%. When we convert the catchment to monoculture plantation, we have either B or C type of the thing. That means in the name of development, somebody removes the forest or encroaches the forest, converted into rubber plantation, as it is happening in Kerala, Idukki district, and in South Canada of Karnataka. So you see that the surrounding villages lose the water for 4 to 6 months because of the one fellow's greedy the proposition. Now, when we degrade the forest to an extent of forest cover less than 30%, you see the streams have the water only during monsoon. That's where you see the rest of the period people do not have the water. That's where the water scarcity happens in the region. Now, let's try to understand the science part of it. I will take you to the catchment. You see that there are vegetation in the catchment. That means this is the river. You see this is a catchment area. There are vegetation. The roots interact with the soil. If the vegetation are of native species, they will be diverse. When the vegetation is diverse, the roots will interact with the soil through the diverse microorganism, because for each kind of tree species the roots have their own affinity towards the particular microorganism. Because of that, we have a diverse microorganism interact with the soil and the root. Because of that, soil is porous. When the soil is porous or permeable, when it rains, the water percolates, it fills this zone which is called saturated zone, then it fills this zone called vado zone. Then after saturation of these two regions, you see the water is moving in the stream. That means now when we have deposited enough water in the underlying layer, there are advantages. During monsoon, you have water because of the rain. The next 4 months, the water that is stored in this region or this region of the river comes to the river or stream or a lake. That's how you have next 4 months. During summer, the water that is stored in this region comes to the river or stream, which we call it as a base flow. You have another 4 months water. That may 4 months because of the monsoon, 4 months because of the water storage here, 4 months because of the water stored in the saturated zone. You have throughout the year water. Now, if someone remove this native species forest and convert it into monoculture plantation, monoculture means these are single species. Their degradation pattern is similar. Because of that, microbes are they fewer in number. They are not diverse, and it might allow the water to percolate and fill this region. That's where you see the water availability during the monsoon plus the water for the next 2 or 4 months. That's how 6 to 8 months water is available. Now, when you remove this vegetation completely, as it is happened in Kerala and Kodagu, you see that water rain falls here and run toward the ocean. That means there is no infiltration or percolation. So, because of that, the water is not available for the next the 8 months. Only during monsoon you will have the water, and you will have a drought situation without the water in the region. Now, when you look at the the organism, the biodiversity in the region, you see that these are all gives the dots indicates the various species: sloth bear, tiger, gaur, etc. They all are there where water is available the 12 months. Where water is not there, only two-legged animals are there. The humans are here in this region, where other region you see the prevalence of the wild tags are in the region. Now, now let us try to understand the availability of water and how it benefits the farmers. The farmers who are in the vicinity of this native species forest, they earn about 1,30,000 rupees per acre per year, because they can grow three crops, and there is enough water, they can grow three crops. Because of the native species forest, even the pollinators, they have a diverse pollinators. Because of the pollination, good pollination, the productivity is higher. We have done the similar comparative assessment with the farmers who are in the vicinity of the monoculture plantation or degraded landscape. We found that farmers earn only 32,000 rupees per acre per year. That means this is mainly because the water is available only during monsoon, they can grow only one crop, and also because of the absence of diverse pollinators, their yield is also poor. That's why in the villages surrounding the native forest, if farmers are earning 1,32,000, in absence of water, only the water in the rainy season, farmers can earn only 32,000. That means farmers in the vicinity of monoculture plantation are losing about 1,20,000 rupees per acre per year. This is how it affects the people when there is a water scarcity. Ours is an agrarian country. We cannot make the farmers without the water. That is where we need to maintain the water in the system. The best way to do it through the innovative, the watershed practices by maintaining the green cover of the native species. Okay, now let us see the other advantages. These are the two species of fish we found in the region which has a medicinal value. We have described this new species as Schistura nagodiensis, Schistura sharawatiensis. This was, belongs to Schistura genus, and it's available in the stream called Nagodi. Other one is in the Sharavati. Now, what is the advantage of this or use of this fish? It has a medicinal value. That means the humans require this fish. If they require the fish, fish should be available throughout the year. As you all know, fish requires the water to survive. If there is no water all the 12 months, then they cannot survive. Now, for the fish to survive in the stream for a 12 months, it should have water, and the stream to have the water 12 months, the surrounding catchment should have native species of vegetation. That means this fish tells us if there is a native forest in its catchment, then only it can give the medicinal property or the medicinal value which is useful to the human. That means humans have to understand the importance of maintaining the native species forest in the catchment to get the benefits or the medicinal properties fish in the region. Okay. Now these are the new species of the algae we have discovered. I'll not get into the details. Now let us move to the next important point. If there is no water, what will happen? Life without water we are discussing. Now this is a lesson for the human. Now you all know frogs we call it as a amphibians, because they have a dual stages or two stages in their life cycle. First stage is a juvenile stage, which is a tadpole stage. It is spent in the water. The second stage, adult stage, is in the is on the land. Because of the two stages, juvenile stage on the water, adult stage on the land, we call that frogs as amphibians. This is a particular species called Philatus leucorinus. In this particular species of frog, there is a absence of tadpole stage. That means after fertilization of the egg, we saw the younger ones emerging on the 14th or 15th day. When Dr. Gururaj brought this sample to the Bangalore, we analyzed that. We found that I saw the young ones emerging out on the 14th or 15th day. That means this frog has learned to lead a life without water. For tadpole stage means, as I said earlier, it requires water. Now, if the water is not there, the organism has learned to bypass the tadpole stage. This is a very important from the evolutionary and ecological significance, and also from the point of adaptation. I'm sure without water, all these animals learn how to continue their progeny, except humans. That means the human species will go extinct without water on the land. You may search for the water in Mars or the moon, but before that, make sure that water is there on the land, and our children continue to get the water. We need to learn from this organism, Philetus leucorinus, how it has managed the situation without water. But we should not reach the stage of without water, so that everyone can be prosperous and happy in the system. Now let's move further. This is the I'm just summarizing what I said so far. When you have the forest covered in the catchment, it moderates the microclimate. It ensures the water availability in the stream or a lake throughout the year. We understood that with the streams which are perennial versus seasonal, and also the silt yield in the catchment get aggravated with the removal of vegetation. We all construct reservoir to store water to generate electricity. But if the reservoir is filled with the more of silt, then we cannot generate electricity. The life of the dam, earlier as per the calculation from the Karnataka Power Corporation, it's the 100 years. But because of removal of vegetation, as per our calculation, life of the dam is 75 years. It's 1965 the dam was constructed. 1965 to 2000, already we have passed another 20 years. We have for the thing. That means not only we lost water, we have also lost electricity generating capability because of the mismanagement of the catchment. And of course, we also understood the linkages of the biodiversity, ecology through this study. Okay. Now you need to naturally you want to conserve this patch. That is how do you conserve it? I would say you should practice the ecosystem based approach. What is this ecosystem based approach? You will ensure the physical integrity and chemical integrity of the ecosystem. Then only you can get the biological integrity. You saw that the species of Schistura nagodiensis and Schistura sharavatiensis, they occur in a particular stream. That means if I maintain the physical integrity of the stream without allowing any pollutant entering the stream, then only I can see those the species of fish will survive there, and we will get the medicine. So maintaining this physical and chemical integrity of the system is the ecosystem approach. Now today there are fancy ways of people thinking, river linking. It is going to be disastrous because we are altering the physical integrity. The against the gravity, we want to bring the water. And second thing is going to happen is, the species that are there in Ganga, if you connect it to Kaveri, they become a weed. This is going to create an ecological catastrophe, and we will not have water. We'll be covered with those invasive species which will threaten our food security in the region. That's why we should not go for the large scale projects like river linking, etc. So we can harvest the water at decentralized level. That's what I'm going to talk about it, how to sustain the water. So I discussed so far life without water likely situation. Now let us move to the next part and try to understand how we can retain the water so that our children can be happy. So now the study what we did it in the Sharavati basin, we also repeated that in the other river basin. Any scientific study should be repeatable, replicable. We try to analyze that in the result. Now that's what we did. What we saw in Sharavati, exactly same thing happens in the Kali basin. These are the rain gauges carrying the data for the last 118 years. Now look at the land use or land cover of the region. You see a thick forest here and degradation in this portion. 1973 to 2016, if you see, the degradation has increased or the deforestation has happened. Okay. Now rainfall pattern, if you look at, as I said earlier, wherever forests are, the rainfall is very good, while you see the lower amount of rainfall in the degraded landscape. Now if you want to see the amount of water that is available to the people and the society, see in this region where forests are there, people practice the cash crop like areca, etc. So the water, see, their demand is much higher than the other region. And you see that since the water is infiltrated sufficiently, there is a percolation of water, it can meet the requirement demand of the domestic agriculture and horticulture in the region. Whereas in this region, because of the removal of the forest, there is not much infiltration, and the demand for agriculture and horticulture is much higher than the what has been available in the river or a stream. Because of that, there is a scarcity of water in the region. Now if you want to have a similar situation of having abundant water, you need to make sure this region are with the native species of vegetation so that the infiltration happens in the system. So now look at the biodiversity. You can see exactly wherever water is there, there is a diversity of animals. Okay. Now, this is to summarize what I said so far. You can see the forest, the way the forests are degraded, even the availability of water is dependent on that. And if you look at this region, have a dense forest, you have the streams having water all 12 months. Here, forests are degraded or become perforated, and that's why you have 6 to 8 months of water. In this region, the forests are less than 30% green cover, and that's why you have the water for only 4 months. So that means if you want water, you need to make sure the river catchment have the native species of vegetation. Constructing dam will not give you the water. But if you have the reservoirs in the form of forest, it will allow the percolation of water, retain the water, and gives it to you during the non-monsoon season. Whereas the dams will not make sure the water is available. Whereas the natural process, you will have water all the 12 months. Okay. Then with that, we moved to the all the four rivers and we studied that. I'll just give you the results of that. See, these are the four rivers. As I said earlier, these two are dam. Kali and Sharavati are dam. Other two are not dam. If you want to see the difference between the dammed rivers versus undammed river, there is an opportunity in this district. We have studied this. Dr. Vinay has done this study. So we have done the comparative assessment to see what are the benefits or the demerits of having dam and how it helps the people. Now, this gives you the land use, the forest cover, and fragmentation. You can see from 1973 to 2018, you can see degradation happening in the region. Forests have they fragmented in the district of all the river basin. You can see that degradation is much slower in these two regions, the Beti and the Aganashni. Okay, this gives the proportion of the forest cover. I'll not get into the details of that. Now, when you look at the flora fauna, this paper is available online. Those who are interested can download. You can see this region has the water all 12 months. These are 6 to 8 months region, whereas this is a 4 month. When you link this with the forest cover, you can see one-to-one relationship. See, we established that with Sharavati, then we reconfirmed in the case of Kali, then with all the four river basin, we are substantiating the relationship between the forest to the availability of the water. Now this gives the where all perennial rivers are there, where intermittent rivers are there, where seasonal rivers are there. These are linked with the forest cover. So and availability of water for the domestic agriculture, you see there is a sufficient water available in the region where water is available all 12 months because of the forest. Whereas in this region where there is not much infiltration due to absence of forest, you see that there is a scarcity of water. Now you know what you need to do if you want to retain the water, make the landscape green with a native species, then you are giving the farmers the water and farmers will give you the food. So now this, see, we all visit the temples, but we have not understood the essence of the message given by this. For example, if you go to this, gives the natural forest with the temple, this one, the god exists there naturally. And if you look at Shiva, the head of the Shiva symbolizes the forest, thick forest. Because of that, Shiva can retain the water, and you see you have the water all the time. If we degrade this, then naturally the loss of water is there, and the degradation happens when we convert the catchment into the the urbanized area. See where the crucial rivers are there. We need to protect its catchment. Catchment should have at least 60% green cover with a native species. Okay, so now understanding this, the importance of the forest, our elders have protected the forest as the sacred grove, patch of forest as sacred groves or devara kadus. And because they understood if the forests are there, they can grow the crop, they can earn 1,36,000 rupees per acre per year. If the forests are converted into monoculture, they know that only 32,000 rupees per acre per year is there. Understanding this important, they to make sure that the next generation continue to conserve the thing. They said gods exist. Those who do not believe in God, they said the demons exist in the thing. This You can, if you visit Dakshin Kannada, Uttara Kannada, and Kodagu, you will see Devarakadus or Daitya Kadus in the region. Now, unfortunately, the 21st century people are converting this into the idols and converting into the concrete structure. That means this forest which were carrying the water, which were retaining the water, are replaced by the concrete structure wherein the scarcity of water will happen. That's what happened in the case of Dharmasthala or some of the places where the water scarcity are there. Even the temple has to be closed down because of too much of concretization and removal of the forest. And if you want to see the relationship between the Devarakadu and the water availability, if you go to the any Durga temple, for example, Katil, you will see there is a forest, thick forest behind the temple, and you will see the Nandini river flowing there. This is what we have noticed in most of the places in South Canara and North Canara. Wherever water is there is a patch of forest retaining the water, and that's how water is available to everyone, and people are happy with that. And this is how the irrespective of the religion, people have given the importance to the water. You know, when you look at the immersion in Arabic, this is a place where the baptism happens. Okay, now the similarly you can see the evening, there is Protestant baptism by submersion in a river. This is an important thing. That's where the pristineness of the water is to be maintained. That's how they used to, all our elders, ancestors maintain the cleanliness in the water. It's only the people who are in Bangalore convert the water body into the sewage nala, and most of the urban area this is what is happening. Okay, now if you go to Pampa river, you will see the similar thing happening there also. You can see the baptism is happening there in the region. That means irrespective of the religion, the water has been the conserved and given the pristine status to the water, so that once you maintain the pristineness, naturally the clean water is available to everybody. So now, if you want to see what happened in the Western Ghats, as I said earlier, from Kerala to Gujarat, so about 1,600 kilometers. This Western Ghat, people talk about development, we cannot have an ecologically sensitive region. But when you look at the area covered by Western Ghats, it constitutes only the 5% of the India's geographical area. In that 5% of the India geographical area, we have mapped the ecologically sensitive region, which constitute only 40% of the entire the Western Ghats. That means only 2% of the area we are requesting the government to keep it aside, so that our rivers will carry water and children will have the water all the months and all the years. So unfortunately, the era of increasing GDP, people are trying to deprive our children their right for water, right for clean water. Now, if you look at Western Ghats, there has been a degradation. The 5%, the decline in the evergreen forest from 1985 to 2018, and there is a fragmentation also has happened. The fragmentation of the forest also has happened, and the analysis shows that the forest ecosystem in the Western Ghat is reduced by 5%, evergreen forest. And also, you all know the trees or the plants during photosynthesis take away the carbon dioxide emitted by the humans and stores in the trees as the trunk, the etc. When we look at the amount of carbon stored by the Western Ghat forest, it amounts to 1.23 million gigagram. And if you look at the every year, the 37 million tons of carbon is getting added into the system by our forests. That means the 37 million tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is removed by this forest every year, which amounts to a emission in a city like Bangalore. Bangalore emits about the 42 million tons, that the Western Ghat takes away about 37 million tons of the thing. See, there is the prediction shows an increase in the average the mean temperature by zero point 0.5 degrees in the Western Ghats because of the removal of the vegetation, and also the number of rainy days will decline. When the number of rainy day decline, you will have the instances of floods and drought, as I explained earlier. Now, if you want to see the amount of carbon stored in the Western Ghat forest, it amounts to 100 billion Indian rupees or 1.4 billion rupees. This is what we need to tell the Western world. when they industrialized, our forest removed the carbon from the environment. So in the process, it helped in the global maintaining the carbon level in the system and moderating the climate. That's what our Western Ghats forest and Himalayas played. So that means the industrialized country have to pay the India this much amount so that we can further do the conservation. Okay. Now, when you travel in this region, you would see the diversity of life. This is what we noticed when we were traveling about 2 months back. Okay. So now the people are talking about diverting the rivers. Those who are talking about diverting the river need to understand the the implication of diversion. For example, if you go to the Gujarat, you will understand the implication of diversion. The people in the downstream are affected without water after the diversion. That means people are paying due to fool's proposal. And also, all these fools come with arguments saying that the excess water which is going to ocean is being diverted. But how do they say it's a waste? Excess water need to go to the ocean. If I don't send the water to the ocean during monsoon, you will see that the ocean is so ferocious during monsoon. All the saline water comes to the inland. Our agricultural land becomes saline, and also our the wells will become saline. That's what happened in Gujarat. That means the farmers will lose the productivity with the salinity. So that's why all engineering proposals are not ecologically feasible, or it the help the farmers. That is where one has to be careful on proposing the illogical project like river diversion, etc. Now, let us try to understand the worth of forest. So, what is the value of the forest? For most of the people who are decision makers today, they have colonial mindset. They think forest has no value. Let us try to do a small exercise to find out what is the worth of the forest. So what we did is, from the forest, what are the goods we get it? We try to collect, find out the quantity, and what is the market value of that. When you multiply that, you will find what is the worth of that good per year is. That's what we did for the Uttar Kannada district. As I said earlier, Uttar Kannada district has a distinction of having a forest cover more than 80%. Okay, and the area of the district is 10,000 square kilometer. If you say 70 or 80% forest cover, that means 7,000 to 8,000 square kilometer is under forest. Now, these are the goods you can get from the forest: timber, NTFP, non-timber forest produce. These are spices, etc. The medicinal plants, then fuel wood and other thing. What we did is we found out what is the quantity available from the forest in each taluk. We have Q, the quantity, and P is the price. I is the taluk. There are 11 taluk. For each taluk, we found out the value and aggregated. Similarly, there are J is 1 to N. That means J is the type of the product. For example, if you take up the timber, you have timber in the form of teak, rosewood, jangalwood. That is what the J indicate. I is the number of taluk. For each taluk, for each type of the product, we found out the value. We aggregated that, and that's how we arrived at what is the worth of the forest. Now, when you do this analysis, okay, you will calculate the total value, okay, of the provisioning goods and services. That means every year you get this. It's like a revenue what you are getting every year from the forest. How much do we get? Let us try to understand. When we quantify, we saw that we are getting about 9,282 crores of rupees every year from the forest. This is scenario one, wherein we have considered the timber, NTFP, litter, fuel wood, and hydrological services, the water, and other things, which amounts to 9,282 crores. See, if you have to get suppose if you keep in a bank 1,000 rupees at 12% interest every year, you will get 120 rupees. Now, if you are getting 9,282 crores every year, you just do the back calculation. You will be surprised to see the worth of forest in Uttar Kannada district is equivalent to 130 billion rupees. This is what we need to understand. Now, let us move to the scenario two, wherein I have included wild fruit. You all know the fruits in the forest are eaten by the animals. So that is where we did the quantification to find out how much is the wild fruit is. It adds to another 20% or 11,898 crore. And the third scenario, I have added the carbon sequestration potential or the oxygen production, which amounts to the 15,000 or another 19%. This is the worth of the forest. you can imagine if you are getting 9,200 rupees as an interest, how much money you have to keep in the bank. That is the worth of our forest. That is what our colonial mindset decision makers of the 21st century had to understand. Now, they let us look at how the GDP is calculated in the country. For every district, there is a GDP which is called GDDP, Gross District Domestic Product, which is about 5,978 crores for this district. In this district of 5,978 crore GDP, let us see how much they have valued for the forest. They say that the worth of the forest is 180 crores. When I talked to the bureaucrat who is linked with this analysis, he told me that only the fuel wood is accounted. That means there is an undervaluation of the forest. Now you might ask me, what is the use of this? The 180 crores shown versus 9,282 crores in the see the for the developmental projects or the developmental work, the money is given based on how much is the each district contribute to the GDP. Now, if the 180 crore is from the forestry sector, if 10% is allocated, the district will get 18 crores, 18 crores. Now, instead of that, if it is actual value is taken 9,200 or 15,000 crore, you see that 92 to 150 crores the district would have got, and we would have had the agro processing industries and environmentally sound the industries in the region, so that local youth would have got the job. But in the process of undervaluation, only the few bureaucrats have made the money, and the district continues to be the poor district in the state. Okay, so now you understood the importance of valuation. The similar thing we try to do for the estuaries. You all know that estuary is a region where the river joins the ocean. This is the estuary of Kali, the Berthi, Aganashni, Sharavati. We have done the analysis for all these estuaries. You can do the comparative assessment of the estuary if it is not dammed versus the estuary which are dammed. You will see that in the estuary which is not dammed, the you get the goods, in the form of fish, bivalve, sand, and salt to an extent of 11 lakh rupees per hectare per year. While in the estuary where dam is constructed, it is about 2 lakh 40,000 rupees per hectare per year. That means you have lost about 8 lakh rupees per hectare per year worth of the goods in the downstream. See, in the Aganashni, there are 6,000 families are dependent on the fishery. Nature is giving them a job, nature is giving them the food. So now to an extent of 11 lakh 35,000 per hectare per year, the 6,000 farmer fishermen are benefited because of that. Whereas in Kali, the fish yield has come down, and because of the bivalves have come down, and the effort of the fishermen has gone up. In this Aganashni, if they have to do the fishing in about 2 or 3 hectares area, in this Kali they may have to go for 110 or 130 hectares. Their effort has gone up, but the yield is very less. So this is what it shows. Now, I'm not against the dam, but when we have the dam project, people should also account the impact on the downstream people, which is not normally done. People only assess the environmental impact because of the dam without accounting for the livelihood of the downstream people. The downstream people, the poor people, uneducated people, they lose their livelihood, they lose their fish and bivalves to an extent of 8 lakh rupees per hectare per year. Then they have to be compensated if they accordingly. Okay. Now to summarize, the free flowing river estuary has a higher productivity compared to the dammed one, and you can see the loss to an extent of 8 lakh in the respective rivers. Okay. So now if you look at the how the farmers are the fishermen are benefited with the hydroelectric project, usually the fisherman can earn about 41,000 rupees per year, whereas in the Aganashni it's about 1,53,000, and in Gangavali, which is a free flowing river, is 1,35,000, which is a reasonable amount for a fisherman to lead a life. Now with the hydroelectric project, the fishermen yield has come down to 9,000 to 41,000. They lose the livelihood option. That's where they have to come to the cities, and that's where the slums are created in the thing. You can see the former fishermen doing the fishing in the region, collecting the bivalves in the region. Okay, so now with this, I'll come to the concluding part of my talk, what we have done, and let us try to understand that. Okay, so Those who are interested in my talk, you can go to the YouTube. Couple of my talks are available online. So you need to give the Google search YouTube, TV Ramachandra. You will get my TED talk, and also the all the videos of mine archived in the Energy and Wetland Research Group, the channel by Dr. Bharat Settur. You will get that. You can download and you can go through that. And apart from that, my you can get the entire talk like this. You will get that. Okay. So now let me share some of the success stories while doing the science. Okay. The one other thing is, apart from doing the science and publishing 300 plus papers for a period of 25 years, we have also tried to disseminate the knowledge to the youngsters in the schools and colleges. We have an active group of 35 to 40 institutions in Karnataka and another 10 institutions in another part of the country, who have joined in our environment education program. And we also conduct the various training program, workshop, symposium, etc. One of the thing we conduct once in 2 years, popularly known as Lake Symposium. So we started in Lake 98, and the next is Lake 2020. That is the 12th event is going to be during the 28th to 30th of December. 28th to 30th December, during the Christmas holidays, we are organizing so that the students and the university faculty can take part in the discussion. Okay. I would suggest you to create new lake. If you have an opportunity, please do that. So you can see that what we have done in that regard, and also plant native sapling. You all understood. If you don't want to face a situation without water, I would say make sure there is a life in the catchment by planting the native sapling. Respect the mother earth, respect mother at home, respect mother earth, and plant native sapling. Then you will see the water is available for your children. Now, this is the water body we have created in the campus. This is way back in 2008. Every year, it collects about 10 lakh liters of water. See, I stay on the campus. My family requires about 500 liters every day. 500 into 365 is about 1.6 lakh liters of water I require my family requires every year. Now, I'm storing 10 lakh liters of water. The message here is, if every Indian contributes back to the system 10 times what he or she is consuming, then there won't be a poverty, there won't be a resource scarcity. You need not think the life without water. So what you need to do is, as a youngsters, as the citizens, as the residents of the globe, I would urge you to go back to your villages, make sure at least one water body is rejuvenated or created in your village, so that you will your village, the farmers have the enough water so that they can give you the food, and you will have water also. Now, this has become a good recreational spot for our students in the campus. Not only students are happy, you will see even we have water. At one end, I'll say Bangalore is dying. Another end, I see an otter in my campus where we have maintained the ecosystem. So if water is there, it must be having enough food, because I don't go and feed the fish every day. So that means, let us see how the nature has created a food for the otter. This is what my two students, they just documented the biodiversity. See, you can see of me doing the measurement in 2005, 2008. Every year how the lake looks like, you can see. This is the algae in the water body, this is zooplankton, these are fishes in the water body, and a bird. That means the entire ecosystem is created by just storing the water in a place. And now we have the otter, and also we have a snake. In fact, once when one of my students last year got me the skin of the snake, we asked him to measure the length. He said that length of that particular specimen is about 279 centimeter. Then we asked him to do the review of literature, find out what is the maximum length that is reported for that particular species in India. He came back after the review. He said that it's about 239 or 240 centimeters. Now, youngsters who are assembled here, who are listening to my talk, you all should know that I am from Indian Institute of Science. My institute is number one in the country. We are number one in the country and one among the first 100 globally. If we are number one in the country or one among the first 100, it is because of our students' contribution. Not only students, young brain excelled in our campus, even the animals excelled in our campus. Otherwise, why will this snake, which is 240 centimeter elsewhere, has become 279 in our campus? That means this campus gives an opportunity for every organism to survive, every organism to thrive and succeed in the life. Okay. Now you can see the other contribution in the water sector by my group. See, for example, at Jakkur, those who are from Jakkur know the famous Jakkur Lake. 2005, when we did yesterday, my students monitored this region in 2005. They reported of the nitrate in the wells surrounding the Jakkur Lake. That is because the people are letting sewage into the lake. The sewage has got N nitrogen and P the phosphorus. N gets into the water body because we all eat protein, and P gets into the water body because we use detergent to wash the cloth. So naturally, our sewage has got N and P along with the other chemical ions. Now, since it was untreated sewage getting into the lake, the groundwater sources have the nitrate. As N moved towards the groundwater, it became nitrate or oxidized to nitrate. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer in the system. That means we need to curtail the nitrate formation in the groundwater. Now, what is the best way to do it? We just integrated the constructed wetland and algae pond. As the treated sewage in the secondary treatment plant passes through the constructed wetland and algae pond, it removes the N and P to an extent of 85 to 90%. This was implemented in 2009 when I was a member of the committee, the rejuvenation of the lake committee. We made sure this is implemented. This is our contribution, the design of the wetland and also the species that is chosen. If you see any place, you will see the treatment plant there. See the treatment plant, there are three stages: primary treatment, secondary treatment, and a tertiary treatment. Primary treatment will remove the large particles in the wastewater. Secondary treatment will remove the nutrient, will remove the chemical ions, and to remove the nutrient, you need the tertiary treatment that is there in the place like Kaban Park, Lalbagh, etc. But the tertiary treatment is going to be very expensive. No municipality can run it. That's why most of the places where sewage treatment plants are there, they are all secondary treatment, whether apartment or a so it's all secondary treatment. Now, if you integrate this constructed wetland, this is a bed of plants like colocasia, the typha, etc., those species which have the affinity to uptake the nutrient and heavy metal. As they uptake the nutrient, they grow, they thrive there, and farmers get the benefit. They cut it and they can also feed it to the cattle. At the same time, the water will not have N and P. Now, today there are 300 wells surrounding the Jakkur Lake. When we analyze, none of the lake have the nitrate. That means this technology works. This is the technology to be replicated in all the lakes in the country, irrespective of the location, Bangalore or Chennai or the Mumbai. I would say wherever lakes are there, make sure there is in the buffer zone you have planted the wetland species so that the wetland species will do the treatment as the water moves towards the lake. Now, another case study I will share is how the simple innovation helps. Now, this is a lake in Gokarna. Most of you would have visited Gokarna. There is a Shiva temple and there is a lake called Koti Tirtha. The Koti Tirtha was stinking for the last 10 years. The local youth approached us. They told us that the government has a plan. The Gram Panchayat has a plan to spend 15 lakh rupees for rejuvenation. Then when we visited this place, we collected the water sample. We analyzed the water sample. We found that the smell is because of more of organic content getting into the lake. Why do the organic content get into the lake? Because people perform the rituals in Gokarna. After rituals, those rice balls and other the fruit and the flower are disposed in the lake. Because of the degradation of those organic material, the foul smell was emanating from the lake. Now we have to stop that. It's very difficult in a country like India to stop such practices. What we did is we took advantage of the practice. I had a meeting with the priest. We convinced the priest that this disposal of rice ball has to be done at a specified location. We named it as Vaikunta or Kailasa. If you dispose it at Vaikunta, you have to pay 25 rupees, or Kailasa is 50 rupees, so that departed soul would be happy. Now, what the priest will do is they make sure it is the disposed at a particular location, and also they will chant and collect either 20 or 25 rupees. When they collect 20 or 25 rupees per family, you see the revenue of 20 to 25,000 rupees per month, which is given to NGO. The three youths are employed. Their job is to do the DVD. That means excess waste that is grown, they will take it out, and also excess rice balls which are left in the water body, they'll take it out and give it to the cattle in the goshala. Now, in the meanwhile, we also introduce the fish which eat the rice. Those who have visited Shringeri would have seen a species of fish called mashit, which does a job of eating the rice. Now, that is our engineering application. While it has given the job to the youth, three youth got the job, and at the same time, Goshala cattle are also getting the rich, nutrient rich the food also. You may recall this temple has the history of Shiva and Ganesha. Unfortunately, Shiva was taking a bath of this contaminated water before he met us. See, after meeting us, after our intervention, the water body looks like this. The last 3 years, the water body looks like this. Now Shiva must be getting the clean water bath. Probably that is why he is happy, and probably that is the reason for you all listening to my talk. I'm sure how this simple technique of introducing a fish and proper the mechanism of financial thing, we have solved the problem without investing the big money into the system. Government wanted to spend 15 lakh, but we spent only 15,000. That most of the thing is for the fish and our travel and the experimental charges. Otherwise, say 15,000 to 15 lakh. That is where when youth learn the have the science, when they become experts, they can solve the problem cost effectively. When youth are not equipped with the knowledge, they become irresponsible. They think that looting is the art of the day. That's what most of the engineers of today who have got into the organization like PWD, KPC, etc., by paying 25 to 30 lakhs. So their job is only to loot. That's where you see degradation happening in our system. I'm sure those who are listening to me, the youth, will not repeat the mistake what your seniors have done by paying and getting into the system. Okay. Now we also influence the people whom we meet. In fact, this gentleman, met me in 2016 when I was traveling in Mangalore. He came to know that I am in Mangalore. So because the press carried my travel plan, so when he met me, he told me that he has 12 acres of land. The next day, myself, my student Vinay Bharat, we visited the place. So Vinay was carrying all the gadgets to the map the topography of the region, and we did the rainfall analysis. We found out how much water is available and what should be the size of the lake to be created. We gave a proposal to him. You all should understand that 2014 to 15 and 16 was a drought year in the district. This Swamiji knew that the water is an important issue. So when we gave a proposal to him, I told him that June it's going to rain. You need to implement as early as possible. We gave the proposal in the May. Believe it or not, in 15 days, he implemented and he shared this photograph with us. This is because if you look at carefully, the Swamiji is young, and there was a young brigade from Alva's Engineering and Science College had taken part, and also CEO of Alva was also young. Because of the youth, who are in the age group of 20 to 35, they have done wonders. Had I asked the people who are in the age group of 50 to 60 or 65, they would have asked me why I should do, what is the benefit I get it. See, this is the beauty of the youth, and we have taken advantage. This is a Swamiji from Mudvidre, so from Jain Swamiji. So he showed how youth can take part in this kind of initiative. Seeing the success of this model, the next year we convinced this gentleman, who is the CEO of Alvas College, to implement a water body in his campus, and he did that. The Swamiji planting, you can see that. And in the next year, 2017 at Mudvidre, this gentleman created a water body in his campus along with planting the native species in the catchment. Then when I visited 2018, you can see there was enough water and also the greenery. And of course, you will see a smile in our face also. This gives the glimpse of the water body. Now, recently I visited this place again. See, when I met this gentleman, he was alone. Now, after creating a water body, he has got a good partner, very good partner. He got a good partner because he did the job which can store 25 lakh liters of water. That's how the surrounding villages are benefited because of this initiative. Now, this is a girl, he got it, and she is running the joint family. So this man's father, brother, everyone stays in a single house, unlike in Bangalore, only single couple kind of a situation. That is mainly because of the nature initiative, he got a right partner. Unlike Bangaloreans who search partners in the Facebook and then get into the divorce, etc., in the subsequent the month, I would suggest the youngsters, you create this kind of water body in your villages. You will get a right partner without much effort. So then now let us go to the ISC campus. This is my campus. We have a historical building, 110 years old building. So when you come to my campus, you will see a climber. This is a climber of the Western Ghat. I was fascinated by the architecture of this climber. I thought we should have it in the campus. We got the seats to the campus. I got the seats. Out of 14 seats, 7 were planted in 7 locations. These were planted when I was a student. I didn't even know that I will continue in the campus, but this climber knew that I will continue in the campus because out of 7 locations, it has survived in only one location, that is next to this building where I worked for last 20 years. So that means plants also know who will take care. Okay, in front of this building, we created a mini forest in an area of about 2 hectares. 49 species, 500 saplings were planted way back in 90s. Okay, today when you look at this region, you get a feel of the rainforest and see the kind of climber has grown. And now you see that it has got a variety of the animals. I have Sclendolores, 4 families are there, and varieties of reptiles are there. Temperature in this region is 2 degree lower. And also, if you look at the groundwater, when this region was infested with Parthenium, groundwater was 150 feet. Today, you have the water in this region at 5 or 10 feet. That means this establishes the link between the water availability to the vegetation in the surrounding area. That means wherever water scarcity is there, on priority, if they take up the planting of native species, probably we can solve the problem of the water scarcity. Okay. Now, one of my colleagues passed away about 2 years back. In his memory, involving the school children, we planted around 500 sapling of ficus species. All of them have survived. You can see his daughter and his wife also in the photo. So this is how we remember the people who have worked, who have served the society. We remember through these plants. Now all of them are surviving in the campus. This is also named as Harivana. Okay. Now, those who are interested in this can come to the campus. The next symposium is during 28th to 30th December at ISA campus. You are most welcome to take part in the event. Okay. See, the children take part. We train them. This is the orientation program, and also we make sure in the school the sapling is planted. Okay. Then our youngsters give the lectures. Then the children do the experiment. Those do very well will come for the final event. The children do the experiment like carbon sequestration. They assess carbon sequestration by measuring girth and height of a tree. So that's how they understand the importance of the tree. And wherever lakes are there, if schools are there, we make them to do the mapping of the catchment and the water quality assessment. You can see the children are being trained by Dr. Karthik, who was a postdoctoral fellow with us and student with us. And you can see the children collecting sample. They come to our lab, they analyze. The children, some of them who took part in 98, today they have become faculty. So that is the way we have contributed to society in generating the sensible youngsters to the system. Okay, these are sketches done by the children. So similarly, in rural area, the children have to map the biodiversity in their village. They know that what kind of plants are there, what kind of animals are there, what is the importance of that. Because of that, the most of the children have decided to stay back in their village and then lead their life. That's how we have also reversed the migration. Today, the country is facing the migration crisis, but way back in 2000 itself, we have made the village children to stay in their villages and earn. Okay, this is how children were also trained. Okay, now my group is working on biofuel. These are the algae. You can see the architecture of that. So now we also do the capacity building for the people in the industries and in the universities. This is a program done every year during the September to December. We have been doing for the last 18 years. The 18th session we have announced now. The details are available online at this location. Those who are interested can also take part in this course which is a internet-based course, which is a hybrid course. You have a classroom interaction as well as the internet-based learning also. Now, those who are interested in our work further can go to this website. Here you will get Western Ghat biodiversity detail. Those who want to do the GIS at no cost, free and open source softwares are archived here. And those who are interested in our group research can go to this website. And also these are the repositories where all our publications are archived. When you access this website, it looks like this. You will get all the details of X Symposium and our activities and also research papers. When you click on research paper, you will get the details of all the publication organized theme by, and the PDF versions are available. You can download and you can read. Similarly, for the wetland lakes of Bangalore and the Western Ghats, you will get all the publications. Okay, so our work on solar energy, we established that country has abundant solar energy. Based on that, country also they planned for the major solar program in the country. This is the work done in 2010. My students are working on biofuel to address the fuel the scarcity in the transportation sector. My hope is that 65% of the countries are youth. If we harvest youth with solar and biofuel energy, our country will be developed country with a sustainable energy. That is what we are looking for, and that's how we are working for. Okay, that is where when you learn from the nature, you will have the physiological, psychological, and sociological, environmental, nutritional, emotional, and spiritual well-being. That is the holistic health. That is the kind of benefit you get when you do the nature-friendly initiative and work with the nature. I urge the youngsters to do this kind of initiative so that everyone in the society would be happy. Now, if we have done the good job, I would say it's because of the youngsters. When youngsters do the good job, they keep the smile on everybody's face. So, thank you very much for listening to my talk. I would be happy to address the few questions. If there are any questions, I would be very happy. Or else, you can also write to me at tvr@iic.ac.in. Okay. Thank you very much. Kirti?
All right. Yes, sir. I think many youngsters are already smiling in their seats there, watching this, and certainly a lot of takeaways right from the awareness perspective, taking the community-based programs that was launched by ISC by you and your team. A lot of things, and I think many of them are willing to participate in that as well. We'll address a couple of questions here. So, the very first question is from Mahesh, who says that is there any impact on the environment due to the recent COVID-19 lockdown in the entire country? What do you like to say?
Well, we saw the positive thing happening. I could see the peacock dancing in Malleshwaram. So that means when all humans are locked down, naturally the animals have the upper hand. Otherwise we think that we are more intelligent, we are capable. One small microorganism has told us what are our limits. So if we continue to abuse Mother Nature, I would say the humans will go extinct. So we should not get into the further lockdown kind of situation. We should wake up by this microorganism based zoonotic diseases. So probably with this, we can make sure that everyone is healthy and wealthy also. Okay. But
Certainly.
when you look at the lakes in Bangalore, though when the industries were not working, we saw the quality improvement for the two reasons. Industries were not working, and also we had good showers. Pre-monsoon happened. Because of that, we could see the quality of water improvement in Balandur, even in Bairamangala and other lakes also. But our use of sanitizers has introduced more and more chemicals into the system. And today we have become over this one with the plastic. I would say that might create more problem to us. More and more plastic will get into the system. If you go to any shop, whether eatery or this one, it's only the plastic container. Probably we will have more and more cancer instances in the city along with the COVID. And in the process, the comorbidity might increase with the more and more use of chemicals and also the plastic in the system. Okay,
Sure, sir. The next
Deepti?
question is. Yes, sir. Yeah. So the next question is by Mr. Satish Kumar. He says, now that government has mandated the rainwater harvesting for the newly constructed houses, is it really helping now?
Well, it is the see. If you look at the rainfall in Bangalore, okay, we get 700 to 850 millimeter of rainfall. Okay, every year we get 700 to 850 millimeter. If we harvest that rainwater, we have 15 TMC of water. Bangalore requires 18 TMC of water. That means 70% of the water required for Bangalorean is available in the form of rain. So we don't have to fight with Tamil Nadu. So for that, rainwater harvesting is the best option. When individuals do it at in their houses, they will have 3 to 4 months of additional water. Another option is to retain the rainwater through the lake. That is where we need to rejuvenate the lake. We need to do the desilting. When we rejuvenate the lake, we can store the rainwater. When we store the rainwater, surrounding borewells get recharged. So when the surrounding borewells get recharged with the clean rainwater, our youngsters and people will have the clean water for their domestic purposes. So that is the best option. I would say everyone, irrespective whether you are in Bangalore or in the village, we should plan and harvest the rainwater. That is the most optimal way of the using the water or using the natural resources. Okay.
Certainly, sir. Yeah, the next question is by Mr. Manoj, who sent a message from Colorado. He says, presently, I think all of us are, speaking about protecting nature, and then people are looking for immediate benefits. Shouldn't the focus lie on, like, say, water purification at large scale, or, come up with technologies which would clean up oceans, or, weather controlled food productions? This might actually work because it'll actually control the damaged environment and maybe, sustain for a longer run as well. So, what do you like to comment on this?
Well, Manoj, true to the where he is located, he is thinking of high-end technologies. I would say the best option is go natural and have the system at local level. See, as I said earlier, harvesting the rainwater, you will have the clean water. You do not have to use the high-end technologies. You need not even think of desalination plant. You know, desalination plant is going to have the catastrophe in the region. If you look at Saudi Arabia and those places where desalination plants are functioning, the fishery yield has come down. You know, these are the implication. In we might have got clean water, but we have deprived the fishery, fishing population without their the right to live. So that's where I would say we should have a Gandhian principle: harvest the resources locally and then go globally. That's what even the Prime Minister talked about recently, the local and be vocal. Okay, I would say the same model what Mahatma Gandhi ji talked about it. Cluster based development would be the most appropriate one. It gives you an opportunity to optimally harvest the natural resources so that you will have a job and youth need not migrate to the city and become a slum dwellers. I would say let us follow the decentralized model, which will keep the system clean and everyone healthy. Than thinking of the high end, the units which pollutes, which contaminate, deprive the people their right to live. Let us not do that. Okay. Okay.
Sure, sir. The next question is basically on the practicality and success of river linking projects. What would you like to comment?
Well, I thought I answered that much earlier. During my talk, I talked about it. River linking is proposed by the fools. You know, taking the water against the gradient is not a the novelty or the innovativeness of the engineer. It is only they are exhibiting their foolishness in a urge to make money, to loot the money. Okay, energy cost will go up. And second thing is the species that occur in the host river, when it is connected to another river, it become an invasive species. In the process, we will have invasive species the profusely growing in the rivers, like what is happening in Belandur, Vartur kind of situation will have. In the process, we will not have water, because of invasive species will take away the water in transpiration much higher than the native species. We'll have the river linking happening, but without water. The purpose for which the project they propose will only meet the agenda of the nexus of engineers, consultant to loot the money than serving the society. I would urge the people to shun such foolish ideas and think of decentralized water harvesting. For example, earlier in Karnataka, if you look at, we have 40,000 water bodies were created by our elders to meet the domestic and irrigation requirement. Bangalore had 1,452 water bodies, which are interconnected, taking advantage of the topography. And farmers used to, villagers used to do the desilting regularly. That's how the water requirement was met. Even in a district like Kolar, 4,800 water bodies are there, and it used to store about 100 TMC of water, where the Kolar people require about 60 to 65 TMC of water. So that means there is enough water. If you have the decentralized, the small models, than mega projects, which will only benefit the colonial rulers earlier, which benefited them. Now the present colonial mindset bureaucrats and politicians, let us not become a victim of their fancy ideas. They will now speak nice words, but they'll deprive us the water. They will loot the money. Let's not allow that to happen. Science has progressed in the country. As a scientist, it's our duty to warn the government not to take up such mega scale project, which is going to be a ecological catastrophe in the country and in the globe also. Okay.
All right. So the next question is, how can we increase the sweet water level on Earth?
Well, I've been talking about that. Catch the rain. You have sweet water. So don't think of any other thing. Whatever water is coming in your house, you do the rooftop harvesting. In your village, make sure your lake is tank is rejuvenated. Catch the rainwater so that you not only you will have sweet water, you will have sweetness in your family also, because there are abundant water available to everyone. They can swim, they can drink, you can practice agriculture and horticulture. You can earn also, at the same time keeping the sweet environment for everyone. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Another very interesting question. Somebody is asking if water exists on other planets. Has your team done any research on that?
Water.
Does water exist on other planets apart from Earth?
Well, I have taken 25 years to understand how much water we have in Karnataka and in India. Probably I should take another birth to find out how much water is there. Maybe I will do that in my next this one. I believe in that. Okay, certainly. But I will make sure with our ideas, we will not reach the situation of exploring water in other planet. We will have sufficient water. That is where we are sensitizing the people, so that when they become environmentally literate, I am sure they will make sure that water is available to everyone, clean environment is available to everyone. That's what article 21 of the Indian constitution assures us. Only thing is we need to practice is that we need to enhance the environmental literacy in the people. So wherever environmental literacy is higher, I see the high level of conservation and clean water is available. For example, Uttar Kannada district, environmental literacy is as high as 54%. I see the green cover also 54%. Rivers are unpolluted. Whereas in Bangalore, environmental literacy is 3.5%. Because of 96% foods exist in Bangalore, we have contaminated environment. Our children are suffering with the poor air quality, and water is contaminated, scarcity of water. So I would say that we need to enhance the environmental literacy in this regard. That way, your initiative of arranging the webinar like this is the best way to communicate the people. I'm sure at least one or two in my audience also become sensible citizens. That would be our contribution to the system. Okay.
Certainly, sir. There's one question on this draft EIA notification, sir. What can common people do? Can they submit suggestions or something like that? Would you like to say something about that?
Well, I would say that when it is there, the draft is available in public domain, all sensible people should give the sensible suggestion. Please avoid giving the generic thing, criticizing and all. What is the weakness, what is the strength, and how to bridge the weakness, how to change the weaknesses into the strength. They should highlight that. Probably the things will change. But for all this to happen in the right direction, we need to elect the right persons. Unfortunately, we vote taking the pressure cooker or television and the gold ornament we vote. I think we need to shun the path of that. We should move to the thing, electing the right person so that they can give a good governance in the country so that everyone could be happy. Today, only one section of society are they looting and they claim that they are happy, but unfortunately, they are also not happy. Okay.
All right, sir. Uh, Another question is from Gayatri from Davangere. She says, "Can you give us simple tips for kids at home to conserve water?"
First thing is, as a mother, teach them how important is the water is. Okay, while using the water, minimize the wastages, whether it is a tap or the thing. Allow the water to use the water in the jug to begin with, and then comparatively allow the water to assess the kids to assess the usage of water through the tap versus the jug. Then the child, he or she would understand. But to put the things in right perspective, most of the children are quite intelligent. When I go to the schools, the children know about it. But as the children grow up, they become irresponsible. That is where I have noticed the same child when they come to the college, they start wasting the resources. That is quite worrying. Probably the college and universities are not doing the right job. So that is where we need to have the right faculty to bring the awareness among the children so that they continue to be sensible and responsible. Certainly, the persons like Gayatri has a role to play. If they keep a watch on their children and make sure that they are sensible and responsible, and they also practice prudency in the resource management, I'm sure that that is her contribution to the nation in her own way. I would say this in that regard, not just water, even the waste, plastic. She should bring awareness in the children. The moment her child is become environmental literate, that child will make at least his or her classmate to also get the knowledge. That's how Gayatri can do a simple thing of bringing awareness among everyone. Okay, and children
Yes,
are a good ambassador anyway.
certainly, sir. Yeah. I think these are all the questions that we only have at this point. So I think given the time that we have, I think we could go and conclude. Any last remarks, sir, from your side?
Well, I would urge everyone who has listened to me, go back to your roots, the village, and rejuvenate the lake or create the water body or at least plant 5 sapling. The native sapling. Don't give me an excuse saying there are no land is available. Plenty of land is available even for people in Bangalore. If they want to plant, they can go to Shivanhalli next to Baneghatta National Park. RK Mission has a campus. You can do the planting. Swamiji will also help. So I would say you should respect Mother Nature. First is you should respect your mother at home, your parents at home, then Mother Nature, and make everyone happy. When everyone is happy, you will have prosperity at your doorstep. So I would say if you want to be prosper, first message is make everyone happy. Most importantly, Mother at home and Mother Earth. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ramachandra. This is quite an enriching talk. Most of our friends are pinging us, and they want to listen more of you in further sessions in newer webinars. The topic of environment itself is quite vast. There's so many more areas that we could cover. We say call it biodiversity, ecosystem, and creatures and things like that. However, a 2 hour session is not enough to cover everything, but certainly we are receiving really good feedback that within 1.5 hour session you were able to cover a lot of topics, a wide variety, diverse ideas that people can understand, and then a lot of takeaways for them. Certainly, I urge everybody to Google Dr. Ramachandra's videos and a lot of his research that is already published online to look about it, and then certainly can connect with him offline. So, thank you, sir, on behalf of Breakthrough Science Society Karnataka. I thank you again for coming to this webinar and then speaking in a very short notice. We will certainly be in touch and come forward for many more seminars and webinars. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. We will keep in touch. We plan to host many more webinars in the upcoming weekends. Given that all of us are at home, let's do some science in our own houses and give back something to society, like Dr. Ramachandra said. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah, and also please urge everyone to maintain the social distancing and be responsible in the marketplace. See, I was traveling last 2 days. I am really saddened with the irresponsible citizens in our country. The way they gang up in the marketplace, in the wine shops and all is really distressing. I would say that let them bring awareness in the fellow citizens, and so that everyone respect social distancing, so that they'll not become a carriers of disease. They do not spread the diseases. That is what is required at this stage. So let them be inside and try to be not the burden to the society. Let them to be a kind of helping the society in their own way. If they maintain social distance and then keep themselves inside at home, then I think that is the greatest service they can do as on date. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for an opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.